What? Okay, this is a new thing, doing a live through an event. It's telling me stuff. I don't know what happens if I touch this. Am I still there? Okay. So just giving a few minutes for people to pop in. Dum, da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. I usually have... Oh, hello Sharon, how are you? Oh, and Gillian. Oh, hello Gillian, how are you? Yay. Oh, and Dear Heart's here. He's going to be helping me out. Just a few more. We're just giving a few minutes for people to turn up. There's a few other people here watching, but they haven't said anything yet. That's okay, because we've got ways to make them talk, maybe. So okay, I'm just gonna get a cup of tea while I'm waiting. We've had some major technical issues this morning with Facebook playing silly buggers. Hello Jess. Hello Alani. Oh, I haven't seen you in ages, Alani. So apparently this is the first time I've actually done a live on Facebook via the phone as well. I had a few lives earlier, I was going to say in the week, but I think it was last week, where we did a sample with the new computer camera and with the Canon camera through OBS, and they were just terrible. It was all grainy and horrible. So it turns out weirdly that the best is on the phone. And hello David, good to see you. Yes, so we've had some fun, real fun. So we had an Instagram one before, and yeah, so there were some colourful words, adjectives even, oh, and maybe some verbs as well. Okay, so we might get started. We've got a few more. Oh, how do I keep up? Hello Sandy, and have I missed anyone? Hello Gillian, Alani. So Dave Dearheart over here hopefully is writing down names. Yes. Hi Jane. Oh, from Wellington. Yes, Jane from Wellington. Oh, we so wanted to go back to Oamaru this year, but no, COVID. Maybe next year. That would be so cool. Maybe there'll be snow in the mountains again. That'll be good. Okay. Right. So we'll probably start officially. So I'm also trying to work out the camera's there. Okay. Right. So hi and welcome to everyone. This, as I said, is the first live I've done. Hi Leanne. With my phone camera on in Facebook with the new silly profile thing, which is very confusing. If you get out of one, you have to get back in the other. So so today we're celebrating the official launch of a ebook short, Mrs Hudson Investigates. So first of all, I'm going to make sure, now I've seen some people here. So I was going to say make sure the comments are working, but so far I've got some people here. So if I know some of you have let me know where you're from. If you haven't told me where you're from, there's a few that haven't. Can you please put in where you're from as well, so other people know where you're from as well? And the first person, yeah, that's okay. The first person to ask a question will get a ebook copy as well as a giveaway. You get one, the first person to actually ask a question. Okay, so the way you do it is you put a Q at the front of your question. That way my dear heart can actually know it's a question, and I can see it's a question here. Gillian's in Canberra where it's cold, cold, cold. Oh yes. David's from the same room as me. Sally's from Melbourne. Oh, hi Sally. I don't think I've met you before, have I, Sally? I might have. The name sounds familiar. Alani's you still writing romance, Alani? I think she's another author, and Sharon is as an fellow author, minus 6.6. Oh my gosh. And yeah, Sharon's also my editor. Hi, Sharon. Gillian says it was minus 6.6. That's degrees Celsius if you're not doing Celsius. And Leanne's from Adelaide. Oh, Jane, it's the first question. I hope you're writing down these names, Dave. What attracted you to write about Mrs. Hudson? Okay, I will answer that one. So first, yeah, okay. Remind me about that question. So, oops, Jess is from Adelaide too. So, Nullus anxietus, that's why I've seen Sally. Thank you. Okay, so, yes, so we're going to be doing a few giveaways. So, anyone who comments will go down on a list. Anyone who asks a question will also go on the list. So, if you comment and ask a question, then you get two goes. And at the end, because I like D&D, I will roll some dice. So I'll work out how many people are there, and we'll roll some dice to work out who's going to win some ebooks. But, who was it? Jane gets one. You get one, Jane, because you asked the first question. So you get one automatically. You're the first one off. Okay. So now I don't have to say the bit about the first person who starts to... Oh, excuse me. It's allergies. It's not... Oh, and I've got an ear infection, so... Sorry. Okay, so we'll do a draw at the end. Okay, also at the end of the live, I'll also post there's a new book trailer for Mrs. Hudson Investigates, and there's two versions. So one's in portrait, long ways that way. And that's for social media, TikTok and stuff like that, and that's been posted on Instagram, and I'll go on TikTok later because I'm doing TikTok now. And there's also a landscape, so horizontal version, which is slightly different, and that will be going up after, so you get to see that here first here, and then it'll be going up everywhere else later as well. Right, okay, so taking a break at the moment. Okay. I first met Alani at, I think it was a writer's essay writing fantasy with Sean Williams, I think. And I got a D20 from that one too, so that's good dice. Okay, so I bought a new teacup to specially to celebrate Mrs. Hudson. So I had to have a new teacup, any excuse for a new teacup. So, and I'm drinking Keemum today. So I'm going to ask a question. You can answer it. What are you drinking today to celebrate? I was going to have some scones, but that didn't happen. So, so if you can let me know what you're drinking today or how you're celebrating today, that would be pretty cool too. Okay, so I might actually go back to that question before I go. What attracted me to write about Mrs. Hudson? Oh, excuse me. Well, the original concept, I suppose, started when there was a prompt for short stories for just having a cup of tea. So Alani's drinking coffee and Gillian's drinking tea. Tea's always good. So yes, Australian Sherlock Holmes anthology, absent Sherlock Holmes anthology. That's the point. It's absent Sherlock Holmes. There's no Sherlock Holmes in it. We're asking for short stories, and I thought, aha, I can do this. I love writing Victorian mysteries. This one is sort of not steampunk. It's sort of Victorian mysteries and Sherlock Holmes are sort of steampunk adjacent. So. And I thought, well, they want secondary characters. So you could mention Sherlock Holmes, but you couldn't actually have Sherlock Holmes in the actual story. So I thought, well, Mrs. Hudson, there's not much about Mrs. Hudson in the stories. So I think in one story, you hear her walking up the steps. And another one, they mention her breakfast, a Scottish breakfast or something. So we assume she's Scottish. But there wasn't really any character involved with her. So I thought, well, I can work with this. So she's this bit of enigma. So I've added in I got a whole background for her. So I had the freedom to do that, and she's clever. She has many contacts. She's done quite quite a few things, maybe some nefarious in her time, and has a mysterious background which no one really knows about. Maybe Holmes knows about it, but he's not in the story to tell about it. So all these things give her several skill sets that will come to light during the series. So hopefully that answers your question, Jane. Okay, so people are drinking tea and Madagascan vanilla tea. Ooh, sounds interesting. Oh, we got a new tea. What did you get the other day? Oh, yeah, I'm toying with something to do with tea, which I'll, yeah, no, actually, I shouldn't say talk about that yet. It's not ready. Okay, right. So a bit more about the story. I suppose you want to know about it. Okay, so Mrs Hudson Investigates is the first story I wrote in that one there, and it's the first story in a set of Victorian Mystery series, and they're going to be all shorts, so they'll be available in ebook only. And they're set in 1891 in the world of Sherlock Holmes, but as I said, curiously, he is actually missing. He's not in the story, so there's a few things that happen, and strawberry and watermelon. Oh, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked by the comments here. So Mrs Hudson actually has to take up the mantle and solve this mystery. So I thought, well, I might ask another question. So we've got T2T. Actually, my cup's from T2, Leanne. It's a new one. It's pretty cool. So, does anyone here have a favourite mystery book, mystery story? I'm quite partial to Agatha Christie, Sherlock Holmes, and Mae Marsh myself. So, does anyone have a favourite? If you do, just pop it in there. And I suppose I should show you the cover. So, some of you have probably seen the cover. Oh, there we go. Having lots of fun. So that's the cover. Oh, it's mirrored. I don't know how to unmirror it. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to unmirror it on the phone. How do I do that? My normal camera isn't mirrored. Alani's currently going through Agatha Christie. Kerry Greenwood. Yes, Kerry Greenwood. I've got quite a few Kerry Greenwood books, and Jane's got a question. So Sherlock isn't allowed to be mentioned in your story. Yes, Dr. Watson is in it. He's a secondary character, almost tertiary. So he's around and things are happening, and Mary's there too. So yes, so Dr. Watson is in it. There's the reason there's a few that you find that go with other characters is there's still most of the Sherlock Holmes stories are out of copyright, which means that anyone can use. I rather suspected that you've like carried. Oh, thank you, Gillian. That's like, ooh, that's cool. Thank you. And the Blake Mysteries, yes, I've seen them on telly. I haven't actually read the book yet. So, what was I saying? That's right. Yes. So the reason you can, I've got Dr. Watson. That's fine. But another reason I'm sort of avoiding Sherlock Holmes actually being in the story is there's still 2 or 3 stories that are in copyright until the end of next year, and so you've got to be careful what you say about Sherlock Holmes with certain changes if you want to make him too personal, you know, that sort of thing. But you can mention basically any of the other characters except for Mrs. Dr. Watson's second wife is still under copyright. Does that answer the question? What was the question again? Hang on. Sherlock mentioned. Yes, so Dr. Watson is in it. Yes. So that answers your question. Okay. Okay. Not those Blake Mysteries. It's a YA from the 90s. No, then I don't know those Blake Mysteries. Well, not that I know of. I might, unless I know them by another name. Corinna Chapman and Franny Fisher. Yes, Corinna Chapman, I think, is the one where she's a cook or she likes food or something. I've got a few of those. I just haven't read those ones yet. So, yes. Okay. So that's cool. Okay, right. So the blurb. Okay, so I'll read out the blurb. Okay, there we go. There it is. So we all know the stories: a mystery, a brilliant detective, mystery solved. But what if he went missing? Who would solve them? A secret communique from the French government has been stolen. Holmes has been engaged to find the thief and prevent the message from falling into the wrong hands, but he's nowhere to be found, and Dr. Watson is off to find him. So yes, I actually have written a second story, so I'm getting a bit confused here. Yeah, Dr. Watson is in it, but Mary's in it more. So it is up to Mrs Hudson to investigate. And with the help of Mary Watson, Mrs Hudson proves she's just as canny as the great detective. I mean, what can't a woman do if she puts her mind to it? Of course. Okay. She's a cook in Melbourne. Authors on the author's website. They're free. Oh, okay, right. Okay. So, yes, so this is a Sherlock Holmes mystery. It's based on the 1891. There's a particular story when Sherlock Holmes is actually out of the country. He's in France, and he sent a couple of letters off to Dr. Watson to basically say he doesn't know when he'll be back. So I thought, well, that's a good time to start the stories. And if you're a Sherlock Holmes fan, you'll know which story I'm talking about. And I'm not going to say which story it is, because that is a bit of a spoiler about some things that happen. And so because he's missing, Mrs Hudson takes over the fact that he's got to find this message that the French government has lost, or someone else has lost, and it's a matter of extreme importance. So she's trying to find out who did it while he's away, so that basically he doesn't lose his reputation. Not that he would, but yeah, that's the message behind that one there. Look, sorry about that. I don't know how to mute this. Okay, right, what do we got here? Okay, right. So another question, and hopefully you're writing down all these people. Yep. Okay, on the author's website. Another question. Do you have a favourite Sherlock Holmes character, and why? That'd be nice to know. I have lots of them. I suppose I like Sherlock Holmes because he does have foibles. He does have some negative traits as well, so he makes him a bit more interesting. And but yeah, like I said, I always found Mrs Hudson. I always wondered about her, and of course Mary. They don't talk about Mary much, so I just thought it'd be cool to have them. So no one's really talking much about Sherlock Holmes. Okay, so I probably should say where to buy it. I will put down some. I will post links. I think I've already posted links, but I'll post them again. So you can actually go, if you're in Australia or outside Australia, I think it'll work too. But if you go to KarenJCarlisle.com and you go to the shop, and then you go down to eBooks, and you'll find Mrs Hudson Investigates there, and you can actually buy direct from me if you want, and then you'll get that sent to you. Oh, thank you. There you go. There's the direct link. Thank you, David. And that's in Australian dollars. When you put up books on the international and the online websites, they only do American dollars, and the minimum you can have them is either free or 99 cents. So on my website you can buy 99 cents Australian, and then you'll get an email, and that will tell you how to download that for BookFunnel. So you'll get copies, and you can choose PDF or Mobi or EPUB, whichever flavour you read. So yeah, so that's that one there. Or, as I said, you can get them online as well, and the online store is via Books to Read. It's probably the easiest one. Actually, if you go to my website, it does have the Books to Read link as well, so you can buy it online. But you can also go to bookstoread.com. There it goes. Oh, isn't that good? Links there, / Mrs Hudson Investigates. So that one, and it's available at Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Apple Books. It should be available at Amazon. However, I sent that to them like 4 weeks ago, and it was supposed to be on pre-order for them, and it hasn't come up yet. So it will eventually get there. They just take their sweet time on getting things up. Okay, Jane, I've always enjoyed the possibilities of Baker Street regulars. I know, actually, yes, the Baker Street, the regulars are in the story. She has to, Mrs Hudson has to get the help of the Baker Street irregulars because they know a whole heap of stuff, and of course she has to form a relationship with them. She doesn't really know them. She knows they exist. She knows that they help out. Yes, so they are actually in the story as well, and I'm just got a mental blank. I think Wiggins is the name of the main one. He's in there as well. Yes, Jane, did you see the irregulars on Netflix? People either like it or hate it. It was interesting. I thought it had a very interesting concept. Okay, steampunk Mrs Hudson the younger is adopted to the daughter of Mrs Hudson who helps her. Oh, now that sounds good. Haha, I like that one, Jane. Very nice. Don't give me any more ideas, please. Don't give me any more ideas. I'm supposed to be writing Department of Curiosities too, which I am sort of writing it, but I got sidetracked. It's like a side quest. D&D, it's called you got a side quest, where I got an idea for another series, and there's going to be, well, I'd already had another series planned as fantasy, and there was 2 books in that one, and now I've got the first 2 books. I had the second 2 books, and now I've got the third 2 books. They're different. So 2 books with one lot of characters, 2 with another, and 2 with another. So 6 books. So I've been writing down notes for that before I forget them. So I expect to be written into the story. Oh yeah, well, that can happen sometimes. That can sometimes happen. I do have some of my patrons. You can actually name, and I actually did have someone written into the story, or a character they wanted written into story into a fairy tale, because there was the author Fiery's author auction for the fires, and that was the winning prize for that, and so that donated $250 towards fire relief on Kangaroo Island. So I do that occasionally. So we might have to have a chat when I'm over in New Zealand next, maybe. We'll see. Okay. Enola Holmes movie. I actually liked Enola Holmes. I actually bought a couple of the books to read as well. Great idea. Yeah, I'm hoping to get to New Zealand next year, but don't hold your breath. It depends on what's happening with COVID. Yes, so Enola Holmes. And Enola Holmes, I like the character. I actually enjoy the movie. David's sitting right next to me, so he's going to roll his eyes when I say yes, and Henry Cavill's in it. Yes, he's rolling his eyes. Yes, and he rolls his eyes when I put The Witcher on as well. You sidetracked me now. I thought it was an interesting character that he has a sister. I actually had been thinking about an idea of having him have a sister because I wanted a female character. And then that came out and I thought, oh, I can't have that now. I actually hadn't heard of the books until the Netflix series. Apparently they are going, well, they've contracted the actors for up to 3 movies. So, but with COVID, all sorts of things are happening. The Enola Holmes books started off this whole legal thing that I was talking about before about Sherlock Holmes and what is available in public domain at the moment. It was settled out of court, and the upshot of the end of the court thing, because when I was first writing this series, it was safe not to use Sherlock Holmes, and then a few people started using Sherlock Holmes, and then all this stuff happened with Enola Holmes, and the end shot so far, it was going to be appealed, but if I understand the appeal didn't go through, is that anything up to the last 2 or 3 stories can be used, and the bit that was the issue with Enola Holmes is the family that runs the estate said that Holmes was too humanized. He was too emotional in the way he treated Enola. And in the end, they said, no, that is consistent with all of the stories until the last couple, because he does change, Holmes does change his personality significantly and tones down a bit and gets a bit more socially aware. I don't know how to say it. In the last couple of books. And I think there was an issue with Mr. Holmes with Keeping Bees, the movie that had Gandalf. I've got a name blank again. In Gandalf. Yeah, as well. So this is the thing when you're writing about existing stories and characters, there are copyrights, and the current, I think we go under, it's different in America, England is closer to Australia. It's 70 years after the death of the author, or after the first time the story is published. But after 1901, it flips onto a different one. So, yeah. Okay. Yes, Leanne, I did like the idea that Sherlock and Mycroft had a sister. I actually did enjoy the movie. I think sometimes some of these movies, you just got to watch them and enjoy them, and not get too precious about the canon, I think. But then again, so Ian McCullen, thank you, Sharon. Yes, I do have this problem with names. It's not new. It's been around since I was a kid. I can remember faces, terrible with names. Okay, rightio. What do we got now? Okay, any other questions? Does anyone else have any other questions? Whoops. Oh, sorry. Oh dear. I did get asked in the Instagram if there'll be any more stories in the series. So this one is the first one. There is a second story already written, Mrs Hudson and the Forgotten Letter, which has Mary, Dr. Watson, and I've forgotten the name now, it's terrible, of one of the other inspectors that was in there as well, and that is set, I think, from memory, about 3 months after the first story, and there's some spoilers in the first story, so I can't say a lot about that. I'm thinking I might put that one out just before Christmas, possibly. It's not that far away now, is it? It's July, August, September, October, no. So yeah, so most likely out before Christmas. That's 2 definites. And someone like that, thank you. And it's going to, and there's going to be, because they're short stories, I can write them in between other stories. So it's going to be one of those things where there'll be more stories coming. I just can't tell you exactly when they'll be coming in. So there'll be more, definitely 2. And more likely than that, there'll be more than that as well. Because sometimes these ideas pop in my head and I can't do much about that until they're done. Okay, rightio. So, okay, question for all you out there. Since no one's given me a question. Is there a Holmes character you'd like to see in a future story? Now, obviously, who was it? The one that Jane likes the irregulars. Well, they're actually in the story already. When shall we read them? When they appear. Yes, I would really like you to get a copy and read the story when they come out. That would be lovely. I've also got another different series, short story. Well, actually, they're probably more novelettes. Novelettes are shorter than novellas. Novelette length. Short story that will probably come out next year, because Department of Curiosities is not coming out probably till the end of next year, because it's a longer book and there's a few things I've got to get some sensitivity readers. They'll take longer, so that's why I thought I'll put out Mrs Hudson, and there's another series that's going to come out as well, and there's some other things happening that I can't tell you yet, and I so want to tell you, but I can't tell you yet. Okay. So yes, so other than the irregulars, is there anyone do you think you'd like to see in a story? Because, you know, sometimes that gives me ideas. Other than the fact that Jane wants to be in a story. Sounds good. Everyone's gone a bit quiet now. Okay, so I don't think I'll do a reading because I'm not very good at it. I suppose I could. Okay, okay, so depending where you get it from. So this is the one version. So there's two different ways that if you go through Amazon, I think that's the version there, looks like that, and then there's another version that goes through Smashwords, which gets distributed to it. It's complicated. Lestrade, actually, yes, it's Lestrade in this one. It's a bit confusing at the moment because I actually wrote a different Sherlock Holmes story for a different anthology, which I'm hoping to hear back on, and Lestrade's definitely in that one, and now I'm having to keep straight which story goes into which one. Yes, Lestrade, Irene Adler. Yes, I've got to look up Irene Adler. She was in one of the earlier stories, I believe. The two people for Irene. Oh, actually, yeah. Okay, I have to write this one down. Dave, can you make note of these? Irene Adler, Lestrade, the irregulars. Can you put them in a note somewhere? So, I'm trying to think back. I know that Lestrade's definitely in the Forgotten Letter. I'm trying to remember because I actually wrote Mrs Hudson Investigates a couple of years ago. But it just sat there doing nothing. So I thought I'd better do something with it. I should have read it before I came back on, shouldn't I? This is terrible. Lestrade, yeah, yes, Irene Adler. So, yes, so I've got some ideas there. Oh, actually, I just got an idea then. Let me write that down. Just writing this down. Okay, right, I just had an idea. Thank you. Thank you to Alani and Jane for that idea. Okay, yes, so they're the same story, it's just the formatting is ever so slightly different because of the way when you go through different distributors and putting up the actual file, it does different things. Okay, so I might read the first couple of paragraphs, just the first couple of paragraphs, and I really get really nervous doing readings. So, okay, so Mrs Hudson investigates. To the untrained observer, the living room appeared to be in perfect order, a typical bachelor's residence, crammed with mementos of past adventures and victories and necessary comforts. Mrs Hudson knew better. After years of caring for the great Sherlock Holmes, her eye had been honed to his peculiarities. I can never say that one. This is why I don't normally do readings. Her gaze flicked towards the dark fireplace. She sighed, lamenting the lack of its comforting crackle. On the average day, flames would be licking the hearth. Half-spent coal lay in the grate. This was no usual day. And that's what I'm going to say, because it starts getting into some stuff pretty quickly. Okay, so spoilers, as a famous character says. Okay, so other questions. I had another question for you. Oh yeah, someone asked in the Instagram too. It's going to be ebook only because they're shorts. Maybe down the track, if there's enough of them, I might do a compilation paperback, but don't hold your breath, it depends. And there was an idea that popped in the other day that means that there could be a longer story with the characters in them, and maybe then, but as they're short stories, it's probably not worth doing. Yeah, you just need a longer version to do a paperback. So I don't usually do ebooks only, so this is a bit of a different thing for me. Okay, is there anything else? Drinking to celebrate your favourite mystery book. I've done that one. Holmes characters. Right, any other questions? Any questions? See, I've asked, so there was the question from Jane, which I've answered, and there was another question. It's a Dr. Watson, yep. Comments. Radio short stories of your books. I don't know. How do I do radio short stories of my short books? I have hearing issues, and I've got like an ear infection today, so I don't hear very well. So I get very self-conscious reading things out like that myself. My diction is not very good on occasion because I can't hear properly. I did look at audiobooks at one stage, but even if I used an actor I know, if she's not sure she'd want to do that sort of stuff, if you want to put an audiobook for a novel, you're looking at between $2,000 to $5,000 just for a narrator. I do know some indie authors that narrate their own. I don't think my speaking is clear enough to do that. So I don't know how I would go. Because if radio actors, to do that, I have to pay them, and I'm an indie author, and as I said, it's not cheap to do that, and I don't want to do Fiverr or something like that because you don't get quality. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it properly. I have toyed with the idea of doing some Kickstarters, but that would be it'd have to be for a book that was popular. Otherwise, Okay, what's that question there? What's this here? There's a little one that's popped up. I don't know what that is. Sorry, I've got a little thing on the live. There's a little thing with people, and it's got a 1. What's that about?
I don't know.
Okay, so if someone's done that, I have no idea what you're talking about. So yeah, have you thought about doing short perspective from the villain? I love villains. If you haven't read, read Viola Stewart. Viola Stewart's each book is got a couple of short stories and then a novella, and the novellas are from the bad guy's point of view. The first one, so Dr. Jack, is got Viola's point of view, a little bit of Henry, her friend, and don't worry about it, and from Jack the Ripper's point of view. And then the Eye of the Beholder is from the bad guy's point of view and Viola's point of view, and the Illusioneer, you get some of the bad guy's point of view too. So I actually really do. Sorry. What? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Dave's just pointing out another question. I'm getting there. So yes, I really, really do love the bad guy's point of view. If you like that, go and check out the Viola Stewart stories. There's 3 books, as I said, and each one has some shorts and a longer, and the third one has 3 longer shorts because people said they wanted the shorts to be longer, if that makes sense. So yes, I find the bad guy's point of view very interesting because it's the whole psychological, what was the thinking behind that? Why do they do that? What makes a person get to the point where they do those sorts of nefarious things? And I got this close to becoming a psychologist or doing brain research. That close. I was that close to doing that sort of stuff when I was at uni. So I find that very, very fascinating. Why do people do what they do? What makes a particular person go one way where another person would go another way and do something else. I find that very, very, very fascinating. Okay, so Alani, I didn't miss your question. It's there. That's what Dearheart was doing. He was going, don't forget to answer that one. So Alani says, how long does it take you to write the short stories? Okay, right, short stories. Oh, it varies. So a book can take me a year to a year and a half because I do a lot of research, especially because I do alternate history type stories. The short story, for the Sherlock Holmes ones, initially I went back and I read a whole heap of Sherlock Holmes. I did a whole lot of research, and then I had to go into the history and stuff. I've got this cool book which I haven't got in this room, and actually was written by, it has a listing, I know exactly where it is in the other room. It's about this big, and it's a listing of all the different things and places and things that you can get at particular years, and they have them in different years, and I've got one for 1886, I think. So I do a whole heap of research on that. Then I do a deep dive into Google Maps, and then I go and find the buildings on Google Maps that still exist. And then I've got, what's the guy's name? Cook. There's a set of maps that was done in the late 1800s that puts everything out into the classes, and it was actually done originally by a guy who was doing research into why there was, not typhoid, diphtheria, one of those, and it turned out to be the water. And I've just got a mental blank on the maps for that one too. Oh, and I know exactly where they're sitting around the corner too. Booth, thank you, Sharon. Yes, the Booth maps. I think he has an E on the end though. And so I do a whole heap of research. So there's this research phase, which can take anything from a month to several months. And then when I actually start writing the stories, it depends. Some stories just come out really quickly. Other stories I have to fiddle with. So I can get a short story if you don't count the research. When I start the story, I go back and do a little bit of research. So anything from a week to a month, which is way too long to do a short story. But the shorter ones take less time. I have managed to occasionally get one done and edited and out in 3 or 4 days, but that was just one that just decided it was ready to come. So it varies. How long's a piece of string? I often say I wish I could write faster, but the problem is then if I tried to write faster, I don't know if the editing would be as good, and I might miss stuff. And also I like to have lots of Easter eggs, little things that is like, if in Dr. Jack, for example, in the Viola Stewart, if you know Ripper, if you know any Ripper stuff, there's a whole heap of stuff in there. I actually was very careful to get the order of the clothing for the final murder in the correct order as it was found. I did a lot of deep diving into that one. So yeah. Okay, there was another question. Cholera. Thank you, Sally. It was cholera. Yes. They had an outbreak of cholera. It turned out it was all to do with the water pumps, because they used to have water pumps that people would come to use on the street. They were communal, and there were certain ones, and it turned out that it was more common in lower class, lower rent, less, more poverty-stricken areas, unfortunately. It's a very interesting map, the Booth maps, because they also have some of the names of the streets have been changed as well. So I like to be accurate when I'm doing alternate history. I change a whole heap of stuff, but there's specific things I like to have accurate as well. So yes. Now, so another question. Are you writing these down, Dave? Alani asked a question again, so she gets 2 goes. And I saw a question from Jane. Another question from Jane. Ow. Moriarty is such an interesting villain. Would you include him? Yeah. Yes. Moriarty was actually only in I think 1 or 2. He actually wasn't actually in many of the Sherlock Holmes stories. He was mentioned. He was in the one, the final. Yes. Solution? No. Final. What was it called? Yeah, thinking. Yes, the one where, yes. So he was in a few. I have toyed with putting him in. He's mentioned in a few things. I would have to do an awful lot more research. I'd probably go and see what other people have done with Moriarty, and there's a few, I like going into the people who do university courses and do their thesis and their doctorates. They can get some interesting stuff in there too. Yeah, so I won't say that Moriarty won't turn up one day. I don't know if I'd do it totally from his point of view. I don't know if I could get a handle on him enough. I have to get a handle on a character before I can do that. But yes, it is very interesting. Okay, Jane said yes. Sharon is confirming that it's Booth with an E. So it's Boothe. Maps. Can you get Dave above my computer? It's on the right hand side. It's really thin and it's cream. It's about that far from the end. I know exactly where it is. Okay, the London sewer system to explore and his escape route. Final problem. That's it for Moriarty. Yes, I use in the Forgotten Letter. I use the train system. That was fun. I actually found a couple of train. I had to go and find which parts of the underground were available at the time and which weren't, because they were built over certain periods of time. The final problem. Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, I actually have toyed with the idea of having Moriarty as a woman. I think I have seen that somewhere. Dave, was Moriarty female in those movies? The Sherlock Holmes movies?
I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway, yes, I have. I like writing female characters. He can't find it, and I can't get up to get it. Anyway, there is maps you can see online, and you can actually find them, and you can purchase them as well. Elementary TV series. I have only seen season 3 or up to season 3 or 4. I think there's 6 altogether in Elementary. So I didn't actually know that Moriarty was a woman in that one. I'm not surprised because they made Watson a woman. I have to go back and finish watching them. I got to a point where I watched them, then I got busy writing, and then I haven't gone back to them. Got distracted by a few other things like Witcher and stuff. Elementary TV series. Yes, I do actually. I didn't watch the Elementary TV series for a while because I wasn't sure, and then Writer Mentor mentioned a few things about it and that she really liked it, and I actually started watching it. So yes, I do like that one. On the sewer. There was another question. I saw one. Are you keeping up with this, Jane? I did another question. Comment. There is. Thank you for putting Q's in front, by the way. It makes it a lot easier. Are there any fictional universes you'd like to write in? As in already established fictional universes? Is that what you mean, Sally? If you can answer that question. Or ones I'd like to make up. Because I've got a couple. I've got a steampunk universe, which has different layers. It has an adventure layer. It has a slightly more gas lampy layer, and then it has a layer that has paranormal in it, which is another series down the track. I have my Victorian alternate history mysteries that just happen in Victorian times. I have a fantasy world which has it's connected. So if you've read into the Auntie Enid's, which are set in Adelaide, Australia, and then I talk about the shells, so it's. And I had this idea, and then I go and find out about Witcher, and then it's got a similar idea. But yeah, it's a multiverse thing because I love science. It's a multiverse thing. So in Auntie Enid, there's thin places where you can actually get into these other worlds, and this is the problem. They're trying to protect our world from these other worlds that keep coming through. So in the first one, we have this nebulous, dark, bad, horrible thing that sends its minions in, and in a Fae Tale we actually have some Fae that come in, and so it's our side. And the fantasy series I've got is effectively our world, but on the other side of the shells. So it's on the actual things, like it's got, you go through the mirror or whatever you go through to get to their world, and it's there. So that's the thing I'm keying in. So I think I saw some, yes. So Sally says yes. Is there any other fictional universes I'd like to write in? Yes, there are some. Ever since I was a kid, I have wanted to. One of my big dreams is to write for Doctor Who. I would love to write for Doctor Who. That would be so cool. 2 of my friends have written for Doctor Who, as in books. So one has written a short story, I think it was called Salt of the Earth, and that Dave, do you remember? Yeah. Anyway, I think it's called Salt of the Earth. And then I've got another friend, George, who writes YA and children, and he has done, for the 50th anniversary, he did a short story, and he's actually writing some Lethbridge Stewart books as well. So that's pretty exciting. War of the Worlds type things. There's a few, probably the biggest one is Doctor Who. I must admit, I've done fan fiction about 30-40 years ago. Oh my gosh. So in the 80s I did some fan fiction, in the early 90s, and that was I think that was mostly Doctor Who, and things like that. Yeah, there's a few I'd like to toy with, but I think probably the big one would be Doctor Who. I probably know it better, so that's probably the one I'd say. Obviously Sherlock Holmes. I think I need to know, I mean, I know Star Trek and I know Star Wars, but really it's not that one. No. So Dave's just looking for the book. Anyway, I think it was only his ebook. So yes, so I've had friends who have written not for the series but adjacent stuff, ebooks and books, and yes, I'm quite a bit jealous of them. So yes, there's probably going to be lots of things. I just can't think of anything else other than Doctor Who right this second. I've actually had several stories in my head I would love to. I've got one with Sarah J. Yeah, again, you have to be careful on which characters you use and what you do to them, do with them. Sounds a bit rude. Yeah. So, trying to think. What other fictional universes do I say I'd like to write in? I just haven't got. I've got a mental blank. So yeah. Well, Sherlock Holmes, Doctor Who, and a few others which I'll probably, in an hour's time when I have another cup of tea, I'll go, oh, I should have said that. Okay. So, we're coming up, oh gosh, an hour. Okay, well, so that's the cover. It's actually purple. You can't see in here. If you go and look at the actual cover, it's actually purple with the aqua. So today I thought I'd wear purple and aqua too, just to be in keeping with it. Okay, TV series. Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to go through again and check there's nothing amiss. So Jane asked what attracted to me. I've answered that one. And you, Dave, can you go through and make sure you put all the people's names down in the correct thing? Because for each comment you get a chance, and for each, yep. Cup of tea. Madagascan vanilla tea. Is it just like tea that's grown in Madagascar, Leanne, with vanilla in it, or is it something else that they've put in it as well? Just interested to find out. Excuse me. Strawberry watermelon cordial. Agatha Christie. Kerry Greenwood. Oh, I heard a rumour that there might be another Kerry Greenwood movie too. I don't know if that's going to happen though. I've heard a few rumours about things recently. Mention Dr. Holt. Yeah, I've got that there. Okay. I'll have to look up those Black Mysteries. Okay, so the links where you can buy the book is there. That you probably might want to wait until you see if you win something. Baker Street regulars, yep. I'll have to go through these later and write down the notes of some ideas I've had. I would like to see the next Enola Holmes movie, I must admit. My Crime Sister. This is the boring bit, right? How long does it take to write? Yep. I am fascinated by the radio play thing, and I don't know if I could afford it, how I'd go about doing that. So I think Jane, yes, Jane had that idea. Maybe we could do something for part of the Steampunk Festival. Moriarty, we've talked about Moriarty, we've talked about cholera. That sounds terrible. We talked about cholera. And is it James Booth? Oh, I just got a mental blank. Fictional universes, Moriarty is a woman, Final Problem Elementary. Are you familiar with Observations by No! Observations by Gaslight short stories by Lindsay Fay. Can we make a note of that one so I can go find it? So, no, I'm not. I'm thinking of doing radio play thing too, so get any leads, I'll let you know. Thank you, Jess. That would be great to know. Whether we can wangle some people we know to do something, I don't know, but yeah, that would be very interesting. I have toyed with the idea, as I said, of doing audiobooks and maybe putting them out via Bandcamp or something. I've seen some people do that. But again, I don't think my addiction is clear enough, so I'd have to work at it and then see if it was worth it. But unless I could do it myself, I probably couldn't afford to do that. But I have seen people do that. I'm not a big fan of Amazon and how they have been treating their authors and their authors with audiobooks. So yeah, okay, all the Black Christmas are here. Thank you. I will follow that link, open link, and look at that later. There's amateur dramatics groups in Adelaide that we're interested. Okay. They wouldn't be suitable at a Terry Pratchett one, I don't think, but I'm thinking maybe a steampunk festival might work. It's not really steampunk, but yeah, it's a lot of people. Leanne says, I know people. Oh, that sounds a bit... Charles Booth, Poverty Maps. Thank you, Sharon. Oh, she's on the ball. See, that's why she's my editor. She's good at finding out stuff. She also fact checks some stuff for me too when I'm not sure, and has pulled me up on a few things. Yes, the way Leanne says, I know people, sounds a bit scary, actually. I think if I ever have a character go, I know people, I'll be hearing Leanne's voice doing that. Leanne, is Leanne the one that's got our dice?
No.
I'm trying to remember who's got our dice from that event, yeah. We couldn't go to one of the Terry Pratchett events, but we bought the 8-sided dice, and someone still has our 8-sided dice, which we haven't appropriated yet. Okay, sus. Okay, right. Okay. Thank you, Gillian, for popping in. It was really great to see you. Gillian is another Australian author. So yeah, we've got some pretty good ones in Australia. Go read them. Thank you, Gillian. If you happen to be one of the people that win on the dice roll, I'll let you know. Okay, so yeah, actually it's coming up to an hour. Well, this is pretty good because no one on Instagram, no one said much, because Instagram's a different kettle of fish. and it didn't take long at all, and I was a little bit worried no one was going to turn up, and you all have, so you're wonderful. Susan Knight has written a book called Mrs Hudson Investigates. Yeah, I only just found that out the other day because I was going into Amazon author, whatever it is, to see if my book was up there yet so I could put it on my page for Amazon, which it's not there yet, and I found out there's another book called Mrs Hudson Investigates. Yes, well, thank goodness we can't copyright titles unless they've got copyrighted like Harry Potter. You can't do that. You can't put Harry Potter. Great. Well, hopefully she won't have Mrs Hudson and the Forgotten Letter, the case of. Okay, we just did that too. Okay, right, dice. So Dave's going to start counting up how many people made a comment. And we're going to work out which dice to roll. And then he's going to work out how many people asked a question, because you all get a chance. And I decided I'm going to roll some dice. If I can find my dice, hang on. Get my dice bag here. This is my D&D dice bag. How many pairs of dice and sets of dice I've got? Lots. Now I'm going to use these dice. This is my Witcher dice because they're purple and aqua. And I've got to work out what we have to roll. Which sided dice do I need to roll? Probably not a 4. There's definitely more than 4.
There's 8 questions.
8 questions. So we'll roll an 8-sided dice for that one. Okay, hang on. Let's see if we can do this properly. Now I'm just going to move this camera. Hopefully not knock everything out. We did this last time and I knocked over a cup of tea. Let's see if we can do this so you can see what I'm rolling. Hopefully you can see. And that's number... Uh-oh. You see that? That's a 5. Keeps turning off. It doesn't like that. So I ended up with 5. So who's number 5?
Jess.
Jess! Jess, Kate, you got one. There you go. I might put that down. Yeah, camera everywhere now. Okay, so Jess has got an ebook, and Jane got an ebook because she was the first one to ask a question. And how many did comment, Dave?
If we're doing 1 per comment, there's 63.
Holy crap! Okay, how many people made comments? Okay, I'll do percentage dice, and anything over 64 just doesn't get counted. I'll keep rolling so I get something under 63. Can you see? Here we go. Hang on, it's behind. What's that say? 42! 42! 42! The answer to life, the universe, and everything. Who's number 42?
Jess again.
Oh, Jess, you got another one. That really doesn't count. Well, I think I'll give away another one as well. Okay, do it again. That's 82, so that's not going to work. 13. Oh, my lucky number. 42 and 13. And then the camera died.
Eleni.
So?
Eleni.
Eleni, you got one. Now, Jess, if you actually want to, you can have 2. I can send one to someone else if you want. And I think I'm also going to give one. Hang on, because I did say I might give one to the best question, and I'm just trying to find that question. And I'm hoping it's someone who's already got something. Where's on her villain? Where's on her villain? Oh, it's Jess again. You can't have 3. I'm sorry, Jess. Okay. I'll go with Jane because she's already won 2. Okay, I'm going to do another random one because I've got a few to give away. So, okay, here we go. 99. No, that won't work. 55? Who's number 55? Hopefully someone... Sorry?
Jane.
Well, who's the next one after that then?
Gillian.
Gillian! Oh, she got one. Okay, there you go. Right, so now I've got to... Hang on. Now I've got to put that back there. Do this camera so it doesn't fall down. We'll fix this camera. See, there's my my books. Okay, so I've got to write down here. Hang on, there's some new comments. Oh, almost knocked the dice bag over. Here, Dave, can you take the dice bag? Instead, I will share Facebook and encourage everyone to buy it. Thank you, Jess. Okay, so we've got the winners are Jane, Craven. Will it tag you? No, it won't tag you. How do I tag it? Jane. Okay, I'll have to do it later. So it was Jane, and there was Jess, and there was Ela. I always get your name wrong, don't I? Alani. Hopefully I spelled that right. And Gillian. So Gillian, Jane, Jess. Okay, right. So there, and I will send you guys a message real soon. So when I get off here, I've got to put the the trailer will be going up onto this event page after I've signed off here. So when I've done that, I'll send you guys a message on how you can get a copy of your ebook. And if you do reviews, that's pretty cool too. Just let me know on Goodreads. Okay. Okay, thank you everyone for attending. I was a little bit worried no one was going to turn up and no one was going to ask questions. So I think these lives work definitely better on Facebook, unfortunately. It's Facebook, there's other issues, than on Instagram for some reason, because, you know, Instagram everyone's really pretty. So thank you, Jane. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Eleni. Thank you, Leanne, and Sharon, and Sally, and Gillian, and sorry, and David, and yeah, because David's very quiet. He was watching. I saw him watching. David Stevens popped in. So hello, David. Yes, and there's a few other people who were watching. And if you're watching and I haven't said your name, I'm sorry, because I'm going through the comments trying to find people's names and try to remember who I saw pop in. So thank you very much, and the book is available, and go to my webpage and you can find the links, and there's links on the about for this event that tells you where to get them from as well. And if you like doing reviews on Goodreads or whatever, that's cool too. And thank you very much, and I will get those out to you real soon. So now I've got to work out how to finish this live. So, thank you. Bye-bye.